What's going on, guys? Michael from GPURisers.com, and today we are going to be adding 2 more RTX 3060 LHRs to one of our rigs. Now, we've been building a couple different rigs here in the bunker. I'm sure many of you guys have seen those videos. This rig right down here, we have 8 RTX 3060 Ti LHRs already running and hashing. And for these RTX 3060 Ti LHRs, they do pull about 125 watts per card, which if you calculate that over 8 cards, that's about 1,000 watts. And we do have a 1600 watt EVGA power supply put onto the rig. However, if you're familiar with the 1600 watt power supplies, they only have 9 8-pin VGA cables that come out, and each card using about 130 watts. And some algorithms I'm anticipating to be a little bit higher. I do use a dedicated 8-pin for each one. So that means that 8 cards kind of maxed out this power supply. Not wattage wise, we could add 2 more cards and be under that wattage, which I guess the safe amount of wattage for a 1600 watt power supply would be around 1,280. So yeah, we could fit 2 more cards on this, but we're not going to do that. We are going to add a additional, let's see what we have over here. It's a little dark, the studio lighting didn't carry over, but yeah, we'll have an 850 watt power supply here, which we did take off of a test rig. I think this was the AMD one that we had. So we are going to use this, throw it onto the rig with the 3060 Ti's on it already, and then we can start hashing away. So that said, we don't have a add to PSU cable. That's what this is right here, where you can have 2 PSUs. This is our 3090 rig here, which of course requires 2 1600 watt power supplies. Well, I guess you could use 1300 watts too, but we are using 1600 watts on these. But for this, we are going to be again adding that 850 watt power supply. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this rig off of the rack there, throw it on the table here, and we'll start adding these 2 in. So that said, let me go ahead and get all of that ready, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back here. There's actually a little bit of dust on these cards. I didn't anticipate that. This is a fairly new rig. That means if there's dust on top here, it's probably from things from the ceiling falling down maybe, but I am gonna go ahead and air this thing out, which I will use this X-Power thing right here. I know a lot of other YouTubers use it. This has been one of the best things I've bought for rig maintenance. I can't tell you how many cans of compressed air I've gone through, thinking that was the only way for whatever reason. They get cold, they freeze up, everything. So it was always kind of a real pain to do, but now, every time I take a rig off, whichever one it may be for maintenance, I see a little bit of dust, I just pop this thing out and give it a quick one-over. And there it is, still a little bit of dust, but it does get most of it out and from inside of the radiators, which is very important as well. I am usually a little more thorough, but I'm using one hand here, so I think that this is fine for now. What I am going to do is, this is our 12 card GPU rig right here. And by 12 card GPU rig, I mean 12 card, it fits 12 cards. However, with higher end cards and thicker slot cards, this frame is really only good for, I want to say, about 8 cards, but these are lower wattage cards, so we are going to be using 10 on here. You can see right up there, we do have our 6600 XTs, and having 12 of those on these frames is just fine, but having, I can't imagine 12 of the RTX 3090s on them, that would not work. But we are not having heat issues at all with these 3060 Ti's, so I'm not anticipating an additional 2 causing any kind of issues or anything like that. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of moving all of these over, shifting them to the left here. I'll be moving this to right here, this one to right here, this to right here, and we should be able to fit one right there on both rows. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these two unboxed. We are going to be using a Zotac Twin Edge overclock and a Gigabyte. I believe this is the Gaming Overclock Pro. Yeah, it says right there, Gaming Overclock Pro. So these are the two cards we're gonna be adding in today. So let me get these out of the box and I'm gonna throw them on the rig and we'll be right back. All right guys, we're back. I did get the Zotac and the Gigabyte RTX 3060 Ti LHRs out. We will be using our 8 capacitor risers for these. We'll also be using our splitters to be able to properly power these and the risers. And I forgot to mention in the last part right there, of course, we are going to be hooking up this 850 watt power supply to the frame. Now, I did mention also the Add to PSU we do not have right now. That will actually be coming in tomorrow. So what I'm going to be doing is just powering both on. I do not recommend anyone else to try to do that or keep that as a long-term solution, but I am just going to power both on at the same time. It should kick on just fine, and then tomorrow we can get it all properly wired with that Add to PSU. So that said, let me go ahead and get this thing screwed into the frame, and I will start moving these over. I will actually be moving them this way because the power supply will be on this side just to not have to carry the cords over and everything like that. So let me go ahead and put the camera down and get this all hooked up. All right guys, I did get the 9th and 10th card on here. I did have to go and grab one of these PSU motherboard jumper cable things. Luckily, I have a whole bunch of them that are on, you know, a couple of the EVGA power supply boxes that I do have. I am going to go ahead and leave the extra cables on this power supply in here. These were used when it was, you know, an AMD holding rig. But now that I have a couple AMD rigs that can house a couple more 6600 XTs, 6600s, 6800 XTs, I no longer really need the AMD holding rig, but I am going to keep these power supply cables together because they are slightly different than the other model power supplies that I do have. So I'm just going to kind of cram this in there, and again, I do have to turn both power supplies on at the same time because this does have the jumper attached to it. As soon as I turn on this power supply, it's going to start running. The only thing running on that power supply is the 9th card and the 10th card. So that said, I am going to go ahead and get this all hooked up, make sure everything works, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, I did just boot it up. It seems like both of these cards are getting power. Now, all I did have left was this blue cord, so kind of stands out a little bit, but that's okay. There's a whole bunch of stuff around here in the bunker. So I'm fairly confident, famous last words, obviously, that it will be working. Let's go ahead and check the MinerStat app. That seemed like my focus was out. Hopefully the audio is better too in here, guys. I know we released a video not too long ago and the audio was just awful. It's because the Rode mic was only on the left channel, not the right. I just honestly didn't know what I was doing setting it up, but we should be good now. All right, it looks like everything is kind of spinning and going. The two other cards are on. It does look like I'm getting a GPU error on one of them. That might just be because it's booting up. All right, guys, we are back after about an hour or so of troubleshooting. I kind of came to the conclusion that there must be something wrong with this Zotac RTX 3060 Ti. And the reason I say that is we did swap PCIe slots on the motherboard multiple times. We tried a couple different risers, and with all the risers, we tried another card and it worked fine. But in MinerStat, we are getting driver errors or issues, GPU issues. We tried it without an overclock. This card just will not read. I don't know if it's just my luck, but you know, recently we've been getting a lot of cards in that have been having issues. Mainly RX 6800 XTs, a couple RX 6600 XTs, actually a good amount of those. I'm hopeful that when I do this RX 6700 XT rig build that we won't come into some issues. I did read online that XFX was selling refurbished cards as new. I looked at the 12 that I got in and they all look fine, so you know, hopefully those are all fine. But so that's going to be everything for this rig build, guys. Kind of disappointed that this card is not working properly, I probably will put it on my test bench and isolate it, see if it's, you know, quite possibly something to do with MinorStat OS. I don't think it's that because, like I said, I swapped cards, swapped PCI slots, swapped risers, swapped even the splitter cable powering it, and to no avail. So right now, before I get this onto the test bench and mess around with it, we do have an RTX 3080 LHR 12 gigabyte EVGA for the Win 3 edition that we are going to be doing some testing on. So that video will probably be next for you guys. I will be testing out a whole bunch of different algorithms on that card. It does seem like it has a different type of LHR lock. I guess T-Rex can't properly unlock the LHR on it. So my initial testing has been pretty bad with the card, but I'm gonna go ahead and run through it all for you guys. But that said, guys, I hope everyone watching this has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you guys next time.